Moved to New York City around circa 1973, and you meet a very young Paul Stanley, and you actually asked to open for Kiss, which you did at the Coventry. What was that like, opening for Kiss?
Well, yes, we met them on our first day in Manhattan, and I was kind of how shall I say, ignorant to the music scene in New York, and fresh from driving in from Detroit, asked if we could play their big gig at the Diplomat Hotel the night that they got signed to their manager. Paul Stanley just said, "Look, this is New York. You just can't come here from Detroit and think you can play a Kiss show. But if you get a gig, we'll come see you. And if you're cool, maybe you can play with Kiss." Well, they did come and see us. We had a, like a Tuesday night at the Coventry in Long Island City. They said, "Okay, you can play with Kiss on a weekend if you go pick up our gear in Amityville." So then we picked up Kiss in our big rental truck and went to Amityville and picked up their gear, took it back to Manhattan, and they let us play with them on a Saturday night at the Coventry. And I still didn't know that they wore makeup until right before the gig. But we shared the dressing room with them, and um, they did everything they said they were going to do. They let us play, and it was interesting because next thing you know, they were signed and started exploding, right? And fast forward to 1990 when Little Caesar got signed, and we went on the Kiss tour. The first day of the tour, uh, we got to meet the guys, and Ron, my lead singer in Little Caesar, said to the Kiss guys, Paul and Gene, "You guys remember Loren from the Detroit Dogs?" And they go, "Oh yeah, the Dogs." So it was really funny to see them like 25 years later when I was in Caesar and stuff. And that tour was great. Gene would watch us every night and take notes and come back and tell us what we were doing wrong every night. And
That's very
hey,
Gene-like, isn't it? That's so
yes,
Gene.
yes, but nobody tells you what not to do in this business. So I got to give him credit and due respect that
Yes.
he took this time out. And we did, I mean, we never played arenas before. Caesar played little Hollywood clubs, and, playing a 200 seat club is not playing like a 30,000 seat arena. So, yeah, uh, fun times there with the Kiss Boys going from the 70s to the 90s.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. So, what were your personal observations of the band? Because they're all larger than life characters, the four of them, in 1973. Any personal observations? Did you start to see the persona of the Gene and the Paul, or were they very sort of humble and
Well, off stage, it was nothing like what they were on stage with the, super comic book hero,
mm,
uh, characters that they were.
mm,
Myself, I was just fascinated that they were so well defined. They knew what the mission was and the goal, and they went out and did it. And yeah, and it's just amazing. I hear stories that they would always videotape every performance, like a football team or a soccer team, even though they won the game, maybe they still said, "Well, we dropped the ball there," and they were always trying to get better and better. So, it's an institution in rock and roll.
yeah. Did you have any inkling that they would be as big as they were based on their craft, their music craft, the songs, their performances?
No, No, I had no idea. They didn't strike me as powerful as the MC5 did,
Yep.
a few years before, but I knew they had something going on, and you know, uh, they had the image thing down, and they knew who they were and where they wanted to go. And like, it was funny because I barely could grow facial hair. And by the time I got to New York, I had a beard. And that first night that we played with them at the Coventry, Gene came up to me and he goes, The Grateful Dead are dead. Shave that beard. This is glitter glam rock. And I went, wow, these people in New York are kind of harsh. But I did take his advice not long after that, and I've been clean shaven ever since. So.